Bitcoin has crashed to $80,000 per Bitcoin. And as of the making of this video, Bitcoin has recovered to about $91,000 per Bitcoin. Ang tanong nating lahat ngayon, are we already in the bear market o kaya may pag-asa pa ba itong bull market natin? So on this video, we're going to explain to you yung basic analysis lang to be able to determine kung nasa bear market na ba tayo or bull market. I won't give you guys complicated analysis which leads to paralysis. We'll just make it simple and you can decide how you're going to be able to trade this market. So to be able to do that, let's go back muna to the previous cycle kung saan gagamitin natin to as an example of what we can expect for this coming cycle. So unang-una, pag bumalik tayo sa cycle nung 2021, makikita mo dito that in the 2021 cycle, tumama tayo ng first natin around April 15, 2021 where it hit about $64,000, $65,000 per Bitcoin. At ano nangyari dito? Bumagsak siya and it touched and went a little bit under the 300-day moving average. Pero it recovered immediately and then hit a new all-time high at about $67,000 per Bitcoin at around November 10. At ano nangyari dito? Makikita mo. Bumagsak yung price ulit and this time, it crossed the 300-day moving average. And it went way below it and stayed there for over a month. As a matter of fact, it stayed there from January, February until March. So at that point, makikita mo that around March 30, nag-recover siya and it became a resistance point, yung 300-day moving average, but it didn't hold and it just kept going down from that point. That is where you see the bear market basically happened in the last cycle. Once na nag-cross siya ng 300-day moving average, first when it created the double top, and then from the double top, it crossed below the 300-day moving average, and it couldn't break past the 300-day moving average convincingly. Dito mo na nakikita that we've now hit the bear market. Yan na yung bear market natin from 2022 all the way to the first month of 2023. And then what happened? After that, makikita mo, at around Feb, it actually broke na, the first week of Feb, broke the 300-day moving average upwards. It actually went up to about $24,000 per Bitcoin. And at that point, it signaled the new bull market. And it went all the way up to where we are today. Ngayon, tignan natin yung market natin today at tignan natin where we can see the similarities. If you can see here on the chart, lumalabas dito that there was an anomaly in this cycle where it actually went to a new all-time high at about $73,000 per Bitcoin at around March before the halving. Normally kasi, a new all-time high is formed after the halving, not before. So this one happened before the halving and it can actually be considered as part of the old cycle. So pag tinignan mo yan, if that's the case, that means that the cycle has been lengthening. But aside from that anomaly, watch what happens here. Around December 2024, it hit a new all-time high at about $108,000 per Bitcoin. And then it went down and then picked back up at about $109,000 per Bitcoin about a month and a half later, around January 20. And then ano nangyari? It went back down and then it formed a double top. And it kept going down and it hit the 300-day moving average. At that point, nagkaroon ng support at the 300-day moving average and it went back up and then formed a new all-time high around August 10, 2025. And the new all-time high was about $124,000. Pero nauntog ulit at bumaba na naman tayo dito and then it went back up to about $126,000 per Bitcoin around the first week of October. And we thought this was the start of this massive bull cycle, but no. What happened was it collapsed and formed a new double top. So there was a double top in the first quarter of 2025 and then collapsed to the 300-day moving average. And in the last half of the year, there was a double top that formed and then collapsed after the first week of October. And this is where the difference is. This time, it convincingly crossed the 300-day moving average, going way below the $103,000 support. And it collapsed all the way to just above $80,000 per Bitcoin. And then it saw support there. And today, we're at $91,000 per Bitcoin. So, nasa bear market na ba tayo? By this technical indicator, yes, we're already in the bear market if this holds below the 300-day moving average for this month. So, the question is, will it hold below $103,000 for the month of December or not? And if it does, that pretty much signals that we're in the bull market. At ang tanong natin ngayon, will it actually break above $103,000 per Bitcoin in December or not? And we're gonna look at other charts to be able to determine this. Pero based on the 300-day moving average and the fact na nag-double top na siya, para sa akin, we're already in the bear market, and it was an earlier bear market as compared to the last cycle, which happened around November 10 when it first collapsed. In this case, yung collapse natin nangyari in October. And it doesn't look like we're gonna see any kind of recovery this November. And now, titignan natin if we're gonna see a recovery in December. For this, we're gonna look at Bitcoin's monthly return and quarterly return to be able to see where we can expect Bitcoin to go for the next month and the next year. So pag tinignan mo itong monthly return chart ng Bitcoin, makikita mo dito that every time that October was a negative month or a red month, December turns out to be a red month. Not only that, every time that November was a red month, December would also end up red. So it is unlikely we're actually going to be breaking above the 300-day moving average in December. And it looks like we are possibly more likely going to have a negative December than a positive one. So that means that last year we had a negative return for Bitcoin, and this year we're going to have a negative return for Bitcoin. The good news is this: when you have 2 Decembers that are negative, it normally means you'll have a strong bounce back in January. So nakita mo dito, in 2018, 2019, it's negative for December. And then by January 2020, there was a 30% positive return on Bitcoin. Pag tinignan mo naman from 2021 to 2022, negative yung December nila. And January 2023 saw a 39% positive return for Bitcoin. So this is something that can possibly happen for Bitcoin for 2026. But for the actual quarter, will it be positive or negative? Tingnan natin yung first quarter ng 2020 at saka yung 2023 and then see what we can expect for this quarter. For 2020, even though they had a big pump in January, the first quarter was actually a negative quarter for Bitcoin at -10. But also in that year, we had 3 positive quarters with the biggest growth in Bitcoin in 2020. And in 2023 naman, there was a 71% positive return on Bitcoin for the first quarter, and it ended up strong in the fourth quarter as well with a 57% return on Bitcoin. So if you just base it on the Bitcoin monthly return chart and the quarterly chart, it looks like we have a chance to be able to get some gains during the first quarter of the year. Now let's add to that some of the macroeconomic events that could indicate that we're pretty much in the bear market already. Let's look at, first of all, the job market. The job market has been dismal. As a matter of fact, they were off with their employment report by a lot. Add to that the possibility that we could be heading into recession. And let's also consider the fact that there is a global debt crisis happening, with the United States adding $1 trillion in debt every 180 days. That's actually alarming. And take into account also that a lot of the big investors, including investors like Warren Buffett, are already on the sidelines with cash ready to deploy. And also take note that a lot of analysts right now are saying that we could be heading into a massive recession or pretty much a global reset in the coming years. So given all the negative news that we're hearing right now, plus add to that, when you look at the way the chart looks, there's a bigger probability that we are actually in the bear market and we're going to be going sideways, as opposed to the optimistic view of the bull market that's going to keep going. So para sa mga traders, to be able to play it safe, especially when you're trading with leverage, mag-iingat lang kayo and be able to make sure that you take your profit and watch the market as it goes sideways from this point moving forward. And expect the market to be playing anywhere around the $70,000 up to about $90,000 range for the entire 2026. And the only chance that we can still break new all-time highs if Bitcoin doesn't hit or go below that horizontal support line of about $73,000, $74,000 per Bitcoin. And if from this point keeps going up, maybe there's still a chance. So what do you guys think? Tingin ba nyo na bear market na ba tayo o tingin nyo may pag-asa pa ba itong bull market na to? And for the traders out there, what do you plan to do moving forward? And how are you going to be trading this market this 2026? I'd love to hear all your comments and all your opinions. Sulat nyo dito sa comment section sa ibaba. At pag nagugustuhan mo yung mga ganitong klaseng content, please make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel where I talk about everything trading, investing, and Bitcoin. Salamat sa inyo lahat. This is Christian. I'll see you guys on my next video.